in the semifinals here in Austin, Texas. Start off with quite the barn burner as it comes down to a 16-14, but off the back of some great op demonstrations from Yugi and the clutching ability of Alda, it is Hero could come on top 16-14 heading into map 2.
That was actually the round that Yugi got that 4K that really started off his like, I'm here on this map right now, you have to worry about me. And from then on, he kept rolling. I mean, he's kind of like Henny in that way, where he just gets more and more busy, more and more powerful, the more attention that he gets, and every shot that he hits, it just makes the next one even crazier. It's like
the Highlander sword, where just every time he slays someone, like he just gets more power.
Exactly. Like I was giving that Beastmaster reference, the Dodo, which is like a character maybe based on Highlander in that way. But he's a guy that just heats up like crazy. And he does it quickly too. I mean, he's not plagued by inconsistency. He's just as fast and crazy as Henny.
Yeah, and he's only 19. This is only his second international tournament ever.
Yeah.
CSGO career. So definitely, it's good to see that upside, you know, to some of the talent that has been brought into Heroic. And again, if you're Heroic in the semifinals and you can constantly see Yugi outperforming Henny with an AWP, you're feeling really good about that, right? Because we know how explosive Henny can be. He can be a huge factor. And we're about to go on to Inferno, where they're going to have to deal with Henny's op at B. And I'm really curious to see how they handle that, because Henny is probably one of the few operas that will play B 15 out of 15 rounds with an op almost. Like every now and then maybe they put him somewhere else. And that's really kind of a Brazilian thing. You know, Fallen used to always do it, even on the old Inferno with Luminosity, really well known for it. And then Yell for Luminosity also does the same thing. So like it's kind of a Brazilian thing to be heavy with opping. I will say like Olaf Meister also was like a pretty B heavy opper. So there's definitely other people who do it. And maybe you're seeing it a bit more because like B's a little bit more open. So it's a bit more accessible to AWPs. But yeah, it's just, we talked about this, I think, in the pregame. You and Adren both mentioned it, is maybe the lack of dynamics on the CT side from Immortals may, you know, give Heroic some options.
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, Fallen and Henny both have this, like, bang their head into a wall kind of style of opping, which is actually quite good when they're, I mean, with Fallen, it's always good because, like, when he would go for IV control on Train, for example, and just like always push down through any smoke, through any flash, he was like so annoying to the point that it was just terrifying, because he was this man who didn't care about taking 40 damage. And he would always hit his shot and put himself in a really good position for his teammate to make sure that they maintain control of an important choke point. And like, I guess he recognizes the value of opping long V in the same way. And for whatever reason, Henny does as well, if that influence is there. But I can see why you would want to have long V control with the op, and it's good to have a crazy opper to be in kind of more chaotic environment, because that's kind of where he operates. But at the same time, it's really easy to just throw a nade over the wall and kill him before he can do anything. So I think that Heroic are a team that's going to be able to finally show them that they can't abuse this B control with the op over and over again. He'll be forced to be a little bit more dynamic.
I mean, the thing is, if you can actually make the op work at Banana, you basically lock off a lot of options, you know, and some teams would often just leave an op there solo if you can do that. You know, even going way back in the day, that's like something that, you know, people would do with Skadoodle a lot. It's just like, all right, like I can leave him here at car, and then I can just rotate everyone else at A, and I can trust him to hold things down. And like I said, you just deny so much map control. So if it works, it can definitely have a substantial impact. I also will say this about Henny: when you watch him play Banana with the AWP, he has this uncanny ability to like work around nades very well. So even nades you think, you know, that should push him back, like a good Molotov or something, somehow he finds a way in front of it and still able to like take like one shot before he actually has to back down. So he can be a very slippery opper to deal with, I guess is the point. And so even if Heroic knows he plays there every single time, and they know that, okay, maybe we can do these things to counter him, his movement allows him to kind of still say, you know, okay, maybe you know that I'm here, but can you really deal with me, still finding a way to peek you time and time again. So again, I think this B exchange will be very interesting to follow throughout this game.
Yeah, so I think it's in those moments, and I think you're totally right. I just think it's in those moments that Yugi comes in. So like everything up until that point, it's like they're gonna be able to do a ton of damage, shy him off just based on their aggressive T setups. But then furthermore, I think Yugi's gonna be winning a lot of duels.
Yeah, and again, I think you'll also maybe see a little bit of the clash of styles again on Inferno, is the fact that just like Overpass, where we saw, you know, both teams be very dynamic in how they can play T-sides. They both have deep playbooks, but typically Immortals would, you know, tend to be a bit more default and passive, whereas Heroic tended to be a lot more explosive. And I think that Inferno is going to be another map very similar to this, where you're going to see, you know, Inferno for Immortals be a map where they'll take it more passively. Maybe just try to, get apartments control, establish a bit of control banana, then just kind of work from that. Which, to be fair, is basically how everyone's playing Inferno right now. I mean, pretty much all you see on Inferno right now is, default banana apartments control, pop flash rush apartments, or the one cool execute you do see is like the sneak into pit, where you have like a smoke wall off the balcony and truck to like sneak through the broken wall into pit, which a few teams are doing. And that's pretty much all you see. I've been waiting to see if some new stuff's going to come out. Apparently Heroic does have some stuff cooked up, but I don't know if they'll break it out here and now. That's always the thing, isn't it? Like, all these teams always like bait you with, oh man, I got something really sick on this map, just can't wait to see it. And then you wait forever, and then maybe you eventually see it. So, we'll see. We'll see what Heroic has. As I think we're getting into the knife round here pretty soon to kind of determine what the sides are going to be. So we don't know that just yet.
I wonder if my question is, I wonder if they have this like oranges setup that they always use in their ecos, that Liquid were doing the exact same setup as them. And I don't know who did it first, but they would have one person pop flashing like bolts, for example, and then someone sitting on top of second oranges and holding like a really wide angle on people coming into pit. Or Lucas, for example, with the Deagle, was able to pitch in that setup too. But they used it like every single time. So honestly, all you have to do is throw one Molotov and like rip that anti-eco. I wonder if they're gonna call that out. I think if they call it out, it'll show that they're really well prepared.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can be a difficult angle to deal with when people are boosted up on top of oranges as you're coming up and in. I mean, you're naturally looking to, peek coffins or what used to be spools. Maybe trying to peek the dark corner angle and fountain. And so you're always kind of sitting low, like headshot level on the floor, to where if someone's up there, definitely it catches a lot of people off guard. But like you said, a couple of Molotovs can certainly just break that right away before you even start peeking and flush them out of position. And that's really how you can break maybe some type of force buy boost or stack or something like that in that situation. So certainly could see that come out, because I mean, a lot of teams run that CT setup. In fact, it seems like we've already seen the boost in CT spawn become dead. Like, everyone's aware of that now. When you used to see people boost on like that little light or flower pot right there on the CT spawn rotation, and people, because you could like peek over that CT spawn smoke, basically is the whole point. But a lot of people just spam that now religiously as they come into the site. So that seems to be not as useful anymore.
So now I think it's still useful for retakes. So sometimes people will counter boost just to be able to see over a terrorist CT smoke as they're coming back into the site from A, for example. So just an extra way to be able to speed up that rotation in, as opposed to just flashing through a smoke, which everyone is also waiting for. So just an extra option, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's not so good to just sit up there anymore.
Yeah,
like it was in the first few weeks.
The other big thing about this map that differentiates it from the previous Inferno, because I have to say this is probably the best remake Valve's done so far as like keeping the core of the map and what made it so good.
It is by far and away the best map that Valve has ever created for CS:GO. Like, as a new version, like, easily. They nailed it. They did everything so well. They barely had to change anything to make it like a truly
They gave it that
map.
aesthetic facelift, and they made changes that I personally think actually clean up the map and get rid of some clutter. Particularly those damn pillars on Banana. Like, those are finally gone. That's great. It really opens up gameplay. But one of the other things it's done is, I mean, the walls are made out of paper over in the apartments, man. You can spam those walls with almost any gun. And so I think you run into a lot of situations where it becomes a little bit more difficult to establish apartments control. And it also becomes a bit more difficult to run like the NIP lane CT setup, which is, one under porch, one on top of porch, and then maybe a third supporting factor at lane as well, or maybe someone closet for a crossfire middle. So the spammability of that side of the map, once that gets explored more, I think you're going to find it a little bit more risky to establish apartments control as a terrorist, or even to kind of play some of the spots you might normally feel is very safe to play as a CT on the balcony, or like I said, on top of the porch. And when you can get free frags like that, I mean, I'm talking you can shoot through like 3 walls of apartments and still do a lot of damage through it. So that's something that's always kind of a factor on this version of Inferno in comparison to the old one, where you had a bit of a spam you could do from apartments to porch, but it wasn't very consistent, didn't really do that much damage. Here it feels like almost everywhere you shoot at an apartment wall, it's going to do damage to someone on the other side.
Yeah, which is really nice. And it goes both ways, where you can now line up spams into pit from apartments, and the reverse is true as well. And so I like that. It gives the terrorist an extra option in a choke point that's very tight, and super annoying to just be in, and scary. Apartments, coming out of apartments is very scary. So
We talked a lot about the B side of Immortals on the CT side and Henny's AWP and how much a factor it's going to be there. I'll also say this is one of the maps where you're happy to have both Bolts and FNX because they're both, you know, considered side anchors for their team. And they both play like similar roles for their previous teams, you know, before FNX was on this team, what Bolts does for this team and still does, and what FNX was doing for SK. And so they're able to really lock down lane and pit because, you know, you're going to have basically one of them pit, one of them lane or apartments or maybe inside the site. And so actually you're trying to attack short A against two players who are very stable, you know, side anchors can be very hard to break through. And so that's something else that Heroic's going to have to consider, you know, because you're like, okay, on one end I have to deal with Henny's op, and then on the other end I have to deal with two rifles who are very good at anchoring sites.
Definitely. Yeah, FNX is a huge, huge player at A. Truth be told, though, like he's got like two ways of playing balcony. Another flaw in the dynamics of their CT setups is like he's either sitting in halls, like in the corner, or he's sitting on balcony crouched like that. Super easy to like just to pre-nade him. He's never done anything differently. Maybe because people haven't pushed him into playing spots differently. But if Heroic had watched their game versus Liquid, they would know that. Further, Steel loves playing for the site. They are very weak when it comes to playing pit. It doesn't seem like they like to sit in there for too long. Sometimes Bolts goes there, and then on B you have like one anti-eco setup, Henry always peeking with the op and then figuring it out from there. Sometimes Lucas is buying, you know, had bought like an auto sniper or something to change it up towards the end of the game, but in my opinion, a little bit too gimmicky, a little bit too static.
And then slipping over to the other side really quickly, obviously Yugi's op is going to be another factor. He was phenomenal on Overpass, to be quite honest. Hit some nasty shots, was really carrying the brunt of the weight for Heroic at times until Valdez started kind of clicking in and meeting up with him. And so both of those players will also be key on this map because I know yesterday when they were winning Inferno, Valdo was huge for them. He was just wreaking havoc on T sides all across that first level of middle that we call brackets. And so, you know, if he's going to stay on point, that's also going to be something that is going to go directly against these FNX and Bolts situations. So those duels are going to be some of the most important ones, but we have to wait no longer. The pistol round is underway. The knife round goes to Heroic. They will get that CT side first, and we're going to start seeing some of our first battles unfold on map 2, and Madi going to win the first one.
Yeah, very nice pick. Just push down, try to get that frag, and as Immortals, we're so obsessed with trying to make sure that no one was peeking middle on them. Get shot in the side of the head. Incredibly impactful kill. And now we've got the double pit setup, which is the ideal way to play A. I mean, you've got so much room in pit, you've got so many angles to work with, you've got that bike, you've got the broken wall, and then on the other side of the pit, you've got under balk and a couple of different angles around the truck. You can even get up by it and avoid Molotovs, nades, still be very useful, trade for your teammates. Double pit, man. Way to go. But now the congregation towards B, Yugi, kind of feeling like maybe he should start making his way over too. Starting to push up towards Speedway. But
it's always tough without the information. You just kind of sit there in CT. You're like, all right, I can kind of cover your wrap, but I want to be in position to quickly rotate to B. And Madi, though, continues to deliver with that USP. Takes out Lucas. FNX does trade it back with Valda. He's still here at New. He's getting the kill. He's doing some damage as well. And the man advantage is still for Heroic as Yugi swings around construction. USP at his disposal here. He's getting pushed in, but he's able to fade back nicely. Does some damage, but FNX does get the kill. Bolt's very low at this point. Nico and Snappy still on full health, and Snappy has gotten here fairly quickly. They don't have a kit, so they need to work fast. They're trying their damnedest to get in as rapidly as possible and find these frags, but Immortals doing well to bait for time. Snappy does eventually find FNX. He's going to get on that bomb, and Nico great with the cover. And so that bomb will get defused, and Heroic will draw first blood on Inferno.
A really interesting movement and psychology in that 2v2 situation where Nico was just trying to find a way to approach quad without getting peeked first and managed to get a safe entrance into the left side as pushing FNX to peeking the right as well. There's that opening kill from Madi, and then a second one as well. Committed pretty hard to that fight and actually died on the re-peek, and I was kind of worried for Heroic that if he committed too hard there that would be the reason that they lost, but ultimately super slick on the retake, and it looked like they had no trouble making sure those last two players went down.
Yeah, no sense of panic at all. They handled that really well. Great composure, especially whenever the pressure's on because you don't have kits and you know you have to make it happen fast, but you still don't want to force, you know, plays that aren't going to be favorable. As now Immortals are going to be on those 3 P250s. That one Deagle in the hands of Bolt. They rely on that a lot to try to find the openings, as once again they will gather up at B. Madi is going to be here. He's got the UMP. He's going to put it to use. Only finds one, though. Or, it's going to get a second there right at the end, but still not too shabby for Immortals, who basically had very little invested into this. They'll get the bomb plant, and that's big news for them, because that means that they have a chance to buy third round, because they've gotten 2 bomb plants with very little investment. And so that's certainly going to be something that they're going to be happy about. But first, Heroic does have to finish this off. They have to find a way to go ahead and break in here and make sure they actually take this round back. Both terrorists over towards construction. They'll soon find that out as they eliminate all the other options. But Bolt's coming from behind with the deagle. Oh my goodness, the headshot on the Yugi is perfect. And Hitty, he's going to find the win. And Immortals, they actually win the round off of, what, a few P250s and a deagle?
Oh my god, and a couple of 1Ds. Wow, that was a nice second frag. I mean, definitely sealed it up with that. And initially, Steel had pulled the trigger on the lurk a little bit too early, died over at A, left both of his teammates kind of just in known positions. And fortunately for Bolt, he took a deep enough angle on that right side that Snappy didn't clear it properly enough, or had to have pushed in farther to be able to see him, and ended up paying him no attention. So there it is. Immortals get their revenge after getting eco twice in the first map. And it seemed like at most they were going to get a bomb plant off of those 2 kills, because the trades were still pretty good for Heroic, but no.
Again, they have that buy because of 2 bomb plants. Plus, they have a round under their belt sooner than expected as well. So this is looking real good for Immortals. Heroic now find themselves between a rock and a hard place, so to speak. Losing that round definitely hurts. All they have is that scout in the hands of Madi and a few upgraded pistols and armor. Yugi just straight USP because he wants that AWP for himself as soon as possible for the other side of the map. As we see, Immortals just opening up fairly default. I mean, they're getting control of top banana, getting control of apartments as well, so just kind of leaving all their options open. Yeah,
I really don't like going pause on ecos, just versus ecos, because this is just a maze of a labyrinth of very close angles that pistols can take advantage of. But somehow they've managed to clear it out safely. Henny gets tagged by Madi over in the B site, trades for about 50 damage, and now is shied away from the site. But it's actually a stack towards A for the most part. 4 CTs here ready, and he's going to be happy to see all of those grenades being used. 1 health on Snappy. Imagine if he was able to get a kill from this position, and he does. Oh my gosh, 3 up. Deagle kill, and now it's just Lucas all alone. 1v2 in the middle of the site, the back of it. Molotov in hand, flash to help him out, but 2 CTs to push in. What an insane 1-tap. Oh, man.
Take a nap, Valda. It's all on Madi now in this 1 versus 1. Trying to see if he can't steal his round away from Immortals. Lucas, though, trying to ensure that it goes the way it should to Immortals based on how we saw things open. Puts that flash down. They know where each other are. Lucas, though, just keeps pushing back. Madi running out of time. He doesn't have a kit, but he lands the shot. He's going to have time as well, so well played, Heroic. They're going to go tit for tat with Immortals to open this thing up. They're not done yet. They will not concede. Wow. We're going to keep trading rounds.
Yeah, and everybody getting a kill there. I mean, Nico getting 2 from the site. The stack was good. They used Henny to scout over at B, but ultimately didn't get enough info, I guess, because it was only Madi there. And I think because Madi hit him, Henny just felt like, all right, we might as well just stick together going to it. Any site could work in the situation, even 5v5, but because Heroic were set up so well and prepared for A, and because Snappy was fortunate enough to come with 1 HP, fall into pit, and then still get a kill, everything fell into place, and Heroic steal the momentum back. But because Immortals got all those plants, including the one on that last round, they've got more than enough in the bank to buy. Great nade on Bolts. Wow, FNX taking a bit of pre-damage as well.
Yes, we are going to see Immortals making their way up middle thanks to that smoke left side, so they're able to get control of the brackets a little bit here. But Snappy doing good to hold off, and he gets away. They can't trade him back, and Nico is to be the one to get the follow-up, and then Snappy plays off of it. So that couldn't have gone better for Heroic, really, given the circumstances of how Snappy and Nico played that out.
He just got a kill. Oh my god.
And now Valda's coming in as well, leaving Henny all alone in a 1 versus 3. He's got the AWP, was just going to get chased down by a Snappy grenade. And so there you have it, Heroic up 3-1. I mean, the way they got out of that in lane is actually kind of incredible.
Couple of bullet points, huge whiff by FNX. There's a lot of great grenades used. Snappy with a great hold in his 2 kills on both lane and apps. And overall, yeah, I think the pre-nade damage was a big factor moving into the end of the round. But now Immortals have to save completely. So it was a good opportunity to try and convert early, but they've lost that ability.
Yeah, and that's just going to give Heroic a chance to really start getting a comfortable lead at the beginning of this half, as Madi has already taken down a player, and everyone's starting to dwindle at this point, as there goes Lucas. Steel very low on HP as well. Madi did take some heat there, but he's able to get away, and so the risk of him going down is pretty low. And if you're Heroic and you can keep winning clean rounds like this, and you can start building up your utility, it becomes so much harder to, you know, get control of things quickly. If you're Immortals, you're going to get slowed down even more because of the counter nades that are going to be available.
Looking like an eco is possible in this round. And I kind of wish Immortals started on CT side so we could get to see like those setups, because we were kind of harping on the CT side more than anything else. And I'd like to see how Heroic challenged it. But I can be patient. That time will come. And there we go.
Okay.
Oh no bomb.
Oh yeah. All
okay.
Right. That's a bit of a problem.
That would have been that would have been huge for them. If they got that extra 800 on top of next round's loss bonus, they probably would have attempted to buy. Would have been pretty good.
He's actually trying to jump up there and grab it here, putting those Nikes on, getting them hops. Gonna go ahead and grab it, but Yuki said no thank you. He's waiting the whole time up there, and so it is 4-1 for Heroic, and they're off to a great start, but of course we still haven't really seen that many buy rounds out of Immortals yet. So it's still way too early to really read too much into this, but this will kind of give us a better indication of what's really going to happen here. This will be a pretty good buy. Yeah, sure, they won't have the op on Henny, but Henny can double as a pretty decent entry fragger with an AK in his hand, so certainly he can still try to have an impact in a round like this one.
And it looks like I actually overestimated. They're on 4th round loss. They're doing okay. Here's Yugi playing a spot that we see well, just a lot of opportunities in a row, but Henny playing it as well. So it's going to be interesting to compare and contrast what their styles are like, because they are quite similar, I think, as players.
They're moving Yugi around a lot on Heroic, though. This is the first time he's played Banana. He's also played Apartments. He's also just straight up peak to middle. Good. He's played more passive at Library, so they're moving him all across the board, and that just means that there's a little bit more dynamic play there from him compared to maybe someone like Henny, who feels like he's B a good 80% of the time.
Which is a positive sign. I wonder how good this angle is that Snappy's using. Certainly, he's had success there before to take such a flat angle. Maybe catches people, maybe catches a shadow, maybe catches people clearing out apps. But typically you don't want to take like a right angle versus anybody peeking you, just because that makes it fight 50-50 and actually less positive, or less beneficial engagement for the CT because of Peeker's advantage.
They had brackets control, but now they're kind of backing down. They want to transition this bomb back over towards B, and Madi with this peek gets all the information his team needs, really. That means that rotation's already coming to B. He's actually going to push, but will he check his tight right? He will not. FNX slips for a second, but he gets the kill. And at least now Madi knows what's up, so everyone can begin to rotate. But Yugi needs to hold with this AWP, with Valda, for a bit longer to allow everyone to get into place, and he's doing just that. He finds Lucas. Valda tries to slip through the smoke, doesn't get it, but Yugi's still here, and he's delivering with the AWP. That's another kill from Yugi. Yugi just going to keep it going all on his own. But he does eventually go down, and at least Nico in a 1v2, trying to come through CT. Henny is quite low. He does know where Henny is as well. He's going to be able to get that kill back to the 1v1. Tries to shuffle back for the kill on the oranges, but Steel a little bit too quick. And so a round finally going back to Immortals after a bit of a losing streak.
It has to be the worst round that we've seen in either of these maps, just from both sides, where there was it was basically handed to Heroic from the perspective that Yugi was given free reign with his op. And it's not that he necessarily missed a couple of shots. He actually had impact, but that bomb could have gotten stopped from being planted in the first place. Yugi could have maybe hit the opening kill. Initially, Immortals, took until 10 seconds to get into the site and really weren't even in a position to defend against people who were trying to stop the bomb plant. It was extremely messy. And,
a little bit of a broken body from Heroic. I mean, despite winning rounds, were coming down close. They're working with pistols, but Nico collects Steel. Lucas is really fast to trade, however, so no gun being collected by Nico, no ability to fall back and try to reset. So that's good news for Immortals. That op is still in play, though, from Yugi.
both kind of hugging each other here at Oranges and have not the best guns ever, so decent positions to be able to trade. Top banana is finally taken, just past a minute on the clock.
As we do see Immortals beginning to make their final decisions in this round, and that is to take into B. There are still 2 players inside the site. No one's begun to rotate yet from Heroic on the Arch side, so it'll just have to be these 2. They have a bit of a pot flash set up with Valda and Madi. With Madi having that CZ, as soon as he spots one, the flash is going to come out from Valda, and he has a second one cocked and ready, and it flies over, and Valda will peek with the UMP, finds one, Madi finds another, and so they're winning the trade so far, and that rotate is now being allowed to happen. Madi's just trying to buy as much time as he can in first Oranges. He's able to hold for a bit longer before going down, and now a 2-on-2. They were trying to maybe plant inside the fountain there for a second, but they jump out. They get to plant outside of it, but the construction peak comes in from Snappy. It's a one-on-one trade, though, and Henny will finish the job with the AWP. Well done by him. And so another round is going to go to Immortals, and now they're starting to edge towards that tie because money is beginning to run dry over here on the Heroic side.
Very nicely done, and it is. But the thing is that even though Immortals won that round, they're buying down to 0 just because they only had 1 alive last round. So it is going to be up to Heroic to be able to do a lot of damage this round to keep them in that range. But I think it's just fortunate for Immortals that they're just putting rounds on the board at this point. This could be a very different game if either of those rounds had went the other way, and it was just a 1v2 that we saw from Henny. So really well played.
Nothing really here for Heroic but that 1 CZ on Valda and a 250 on Snappy. And Bolt's just tearing through the paper-like defense that Heroic has to put up this round, as they will go ahead and just take the B-bomb site now. No one left here to pose any type of threat, so definitely the plant will come in, and Immortals is all but tied this game up. I mean, there's really not much Heroic can do. All really just kind of stuck in CT spawn and alt mid, just looking for exits, and that's all they can really hope to accomplish.
We'll have to see. I mean, it's been a messy exchange for both teams in these engagements, and when it comes down to the 1v1s and the trades are just, I don't know, has to do a little bit with missing shots as well as people not being in good positions or just like peeking out too aggressively and then missing shots. It's really hard to say, well, were they performing in a way that was sustainable to win the round? Because typically they would peek out and get those kills. So it's not like I could say Immortals should have changed how they played B on that round, where Heroic, excuse me, when Immortals came in and got that after plant situation, the Henny 1v2. But at the same time, maybe if they were a little bit more patient after they got the initial engagements, it would have been a safer way to secure the round.
So now Heroic will be back onto a bye after that save, though it's still limited. No hop in the hands of Yugi. Madi and Snappy will have to do what they can with those UMPs, but nowadays it doesn't even really seem like a bad thing. And he will have the op at his disposal, just kind of slow peeking middle for now. And again, this is just kind of typical Immortals T-side Inferno. Just take it slow, let Lucas get apartments control, let Bolts try to push back B, leave all our options open, and just try to mid-round read. And use that teamwork that Steel was talking about in the interview. Try to play off of one another into something.
Pulse control is being cleared. We've got plenty of time left over. Heroic are happy to give it up. It's not easy to hang on to halls. There's a lot of spammable spots, as we talked about before the game started, as well as just favorable spots in the new pit to have more than one CT. And I think like you can play pit almost every single round with 2 CTs, and even if the Ts know where you are, it's still hard to deal with. You still have to be within vision to be able to throw Molotovs into the pit. And you have to throw a lot of them to clear everything, as well as some spots are unreachable unless you're at Arch. So
it's also so easy to transition who's watching what. If you're playing Balk Pit on who's watching lane, who's actually watching the apartment exit, you can bounce back between who's watching either way depending on what type of pressure you receive. So very versatile setup in its own right, as we do see Immortals now gathered up entirely at middle. All of their forces are looking to attack into this A bomb site as we come into the last 25 seconds. Yugi smoked off over here at the archway, making sure they don't push into CT, but he's cut off from his team, and now Lucas entries into Snappy. It's all on Nico inside the pit. A nice kill onto FNX. He's getting pushed in, throw on the broken wall, and that's going to be Lucas finding another. So the entry man for Immortals doing his job and then some, as he gets a numbers advantage for Immortals here, and really, there's no way back in for Heroic. They're already just saving their guns, and so Immortals, they'll take the lead back.
That was an excellent trade from Lucas, and Nico is in a position where in pit where he could stay alive, and a lot of times, sometimes you don't even want to trade for your teammate when you're in pit because you have what is basically considered a retake position where sometimes people from site can't kill you easily, and so they'll let you stay alive. And if your teammates come in, well, a lot of the spots on the site are compromised now from multiple angles, and that gives you a lot of power as a CT. So I think that was really well played by Lucas to jump in pit and make sure that that kill went down. And now Immortals looking at a round that they've won very cleanly by going A as well. So that's gonna build into their confidence that they can kind of use either site when they're on the back of their heels. And I think the fact that they have strung together 4 rounds in a row is starting to get a little bit daunting of a scoreline for Heroic, who started out quite strong after winning that second round.
So Heroic will be able to get that op back in play in Yugi. Of course, he's been big for them throughout this tournament, particularly in that last map. So if he can get going, that's going to be big for Heroic. But Immortals are really starting to piece together a great T-side. Despite the slow start, I think they've now won 4 rounds in a row to take the lead. So this is some good recovery taking place from Immortals, as they already have that map lost. So they need to win this just to force the third and stay alive in this tournament. So certainly a lot on the line. They want to, have a little bit of a redemption after a really kind of embarrassing star ladder when you think about all the other results they had. That one's really the outlier. They want to prove that is in fact the case, that that's not the team that they are. So we do see them getting control of apartments, and again, just taking that slow, steady pace to kick things off.
Yeah, again, not too much action happening. We don't see a lot of CTs peeking mid as often on this Inferno, just because of how wide it is and how T-friendly it is. So it's much safer from this perspective to try and go for either pick control or just have a setup where you have an arch wrap or a rotator to CT, and that's going to be Yugi. And this passiveness has kind of put Yugi out of the spotlight, but at the same time, they've also done a good job of avoiding him in the late round, as he's either been rotating in or had to deal with people coming through lane after getting smoked out.
Yeah, the apartments explode on the way. Pop flash through, sweeping through the cart is going to be Lucas, and again he's able to get 2 frags coming through lane. So he is definitely doing his job as the entry for Immortals, and once again Heroic forced to immediately concede.
Why did Yugi leave?
Was that a rhetorical question, or did you actually what?
Why did he leave?
I'm not sure. Pressure definitely coming in from apartments there. A lot of utility spent, so I'm not sure if maybe a miscommunication happened, or maybe they had a different read somewhere else, or didn't quite have the complete information. But whatever the case may be, I mean, that round's over as soon as Immortals gets the 2 kills in pit.
He must have been like pushed into CT or something, assumed they came arch, and then was too far away to rotate in. But then wasn't a help to his teammates at lane. Could actually be a huge reason they lose if he's not more cognizant of the fact that his teammates need him. If he can opt people jumping out of halls, he could have been a lot more useful there. I don't even think he was smoked out, but I might be mistaken. I think he was just too far away, and maybe should be a little bit less scared of. And we'll see. Oh, I can barely see it there. It wasn't even smoked. Where you at, Yugi?
Not sure, but what is for certain is the fact that Immortals are extending their lead, and they've been able to find 5 rounds in a row now, so really coming back after the slow start in a big way. They don't want to exit this tournament on this map.
They've got to make that adjustment quickly. I don't know what his comms are like, but they need to gather that information. It's up to Speedy to make sure that that is understood. I mean, you should see that that his arch player is like kind of leaving or just not getting that impact. And, ooh, really nice adjustment from Snappy in the midst of his spray to be able to get that headshot. And somehow, just a couple of kills on Banana instantly are taken by Immortals, as they're now given free reign over the B site.
Yeah,
wow.
We didn't get to catch that because we were watching the apartments pushes. That was the adjustment Heroic was trying to make, is we will stop giving them apartments control for free. And that trade actually went pretty well. The problem is Bolts clears out B by himself against both Madi and Valda. And so it's all for naught, basically, with that whole apartments fight. And so another round going to go to Immortals, as Yugi and Nico will have to, again, just retreat with the tail between their legs, just trying to hold onto these guns.
I think they were under the assumption that because A was weak, they had to do something over at B. But in reality, all they had to do is make an adjustment at A, because Immortals aren't even doing anything special. They're actually just abusing the fact that they don't have to do anything special to just get in, so that if they want to go A again, they can start to turn up with a couple of extra smokes and flashes, and then make it even harder. But Heroic still haven't proved that they can hold A standard, and haven't shown that like they can make their op impactful. So I think actually, you know, Bun Arch, like if Yugi's gonna play like that, he should be over in pit with the op, or just on the site killing people coming out of halls, and just make that adjustment right now. And then you don't have to have anyone pushing down through a smoke in the B and try to do something crazy just because you feel like nothing's working all of a sudden. They have to remember that the first 2 of the rounds they lost in this streak were versus 1v1s, and all of a sudden they just started falling apart.
So we have a really good buy out of Heroic now. They have everything that they could really want as far as utility and rifles go, as well as Yugi's op in play. Immortals still have been on fire, particularly Lucas has had a lot of impact frags in these last, 6 rounds that Immortals have put on the board, particularly how he's been able to come out of apartments and just, find 2 kills and essentially win the round because Heroic's forced to save because people are out of position. So really definitely got to give a huge credit to him. He's often been the guy that's been underappreciated on this team due to the fact that there was always kind of bigger names ahead of him on the list.
Apartments control has been given up every single round, no problem. But with that comes the responsibility of having just an insane hold on the site. And here we have, I think, we'll see. But based on where Yugi's standing right now, it looks like he's going to fall back into CT and then go maybe to library or be too far away. This is quite interesting for me. I'd like to see what the adjustment is. The late smoke into CT, I think, alludes to the fact that they might be coming through it. And Yugi has stayed here long enough that he's gotten that info, so that is really good. Now he's in a good spot. He can actually take these shots on players crossing. Might go for the re-peek, and through the smoke is able to find that kill. Very nice. Now, a Molotov is quite bad. That has gone in, but it's actually a B-split, and they have circumvented 3 players at A. Are now pushing into B versus Madi and Valda. They've got a big job on their hands, and they know it. But time is ticking down. 8 seconds remain, and they've got to kill Emo. This is not even going to be possible, I don't think.
Yeah, trying to plant's going to be so difficult. They are going to be able to get that kill on Dark Corner and get the bomb down, so they get it back into a 3v3 somehow. Snappy trying to catch them falling back in construction, but Lucas again coming through for Immortals. This time in more of a clutch moment rather than an entry one, and Lucas just keeps going. Finally, he's silenced by Yugi, but he's got a 1v1 Hitty. He's going to throw down the op and pick up the AK. The gloves are off right now for Yugi. He needs to get in here, throws the fake flash, but Hitty just hits the op shot. It doesn't phase him whatsoever. And that's another round for Immortals. That's 7 in a row.
Oh my god. Another 1v1, and Snappy comes out and misses 20 bullets, is able to do some damage, but it wasn't enough. They even, oh man, they only had to stop the bomb. They had 1 second remaining. Immortals really pushed it, taking that long to get to the site. And it was actually because Yugi did such a good job delaying at Arch with the Molotov and then pushing into CT. But I think, man, I don't even know. I think the rotates weren't even off base. The hold was pretty good. It just came down to a sliver of a couple of actions, and it's 3 rounds that Heroic have lost in a 1v1 situation that could have gone either way.
Yeah, it's always tough to lose those close rounds where you feel like you have a way in and you feel like it's right there, but it just slips through your fingers. And unfortunately for them, it's happened so many times that Immortals has built up in a massive lead at this point. Again, 7 rounds in a row to the Immortals. Trying to stay alive in this tournament, as still going to catch some aggression from Nico there on the balcony. So that's even more issue now that Immortals has, excuse me, that Heroic has to deal with.
Not looking good, but peeking a little bit more, falling back again. Madi staying at top banana is okay, but a little bit trapped here at Sandbag as the solo man. I mean, they can have a fast rotate, but they've got to make sure that he doesn't die before getting info so that they can stop players from actually just running into B really quickly. But I think they have the read that it might be A, so they've decided to leave him alone solo here. He cannot die.
Yeah, Madi just trying to see if he can't be the one to hold B alone, to allow his team, who is low on numbers, to kind of just put all their focus at A. And Snappy, luckily, is able to find a kill to at least make things a bit easier on Heroic.
A B hit. Wow.
Yeah, it isn't going to be a B hit, and the rotation is going to get cut off because there's a player pushed Arch. They can't even get back around the library or Arch without dealing with FNX first. And look at him go. He gets one kill. Finally, Snappy clears him out, but B has been taken thanks to Bolt. And Snappy and Yugi are the only two hopes left for Heroic in this round. And again, they're kind of one of those situations where unless they can find a kill fast on Yugi's op, they don't really have a way back into this. They don't have kits. They barely have any utility. And this is so many rounds now where it's come down to close number situations, but all Heroic can do is save, and eventually that's just not good enough.
That was a sick rotation back to B from Immortals. They tested the water because they had that initial 5v4, lost their man who peeked out a boiler to Snappy, who was able to win the gunfight, and then decided to hike it back to B versus Madi, who was there solo, as Heroic had the initial thought, or that it was going to be an A hit, which I think that was on Immortals' mind as well. So just good outplay as a team, picking the right site, and that was a much more confident round. That's like just scary, I think, for Heroic.
Yeah, so Immortals may be proving that Inferno is becoming kind of home turf for them in their map pool, as they're off to a great start here, up 9-4, only 2 rounds left in play, and Heroic really need to win out at this point, I feel like, to just give themselves a chance. I mean, I'm not sure just how strong their T side is on this map, so we'll have to kind of see. I mean, don't get ahead of ourselves. There's still a hope for them to maybe close the gap up a bit before we switch sides, but so far, Immortals has really been dominant on Inferno, particularly guys like Lucas and Bolts. They've been heavy hitters on this one, as again, Heroic trying to get aggressive in apartments. It's going to be Nico once more, looking to contest, but is forced to fall back, and now the terrorists are going to chase them down as they try to get out of there, and they will not. It is again Steel and Lucas who are just asserting dominance over in the apartments, and now they will just take basically an open A bomb site. The bomb is down in window, and so they have to go back and get that, so that slows things down a bit here, allows a bit more time, but with Immortals getting all the kills, it really doesn't matter anymore.
Wow, that was an amazing double peek. Just as two players are falling out of halls too, they peek. Each side is exactly what they wanted to go down. Immortals win this round with 5 players alive. Yugi, once again, unable to do have any impact, and just has to go and save. And because there's 5 Immortals players looking for him, he can't just run away. There's no safe spot. And he takes advantage of that and assumes that he might try to come in for an aggressive peek at Library, and calls that out. Wow, no. Heroic have the last opportunity to win a round. This could have been an 8-7 half. This could have been more than that, a 10-5 for Heroic based on the saves that would have occurred as well.
It's definitely fair to point out that the scoreboard isn't truly reflective of how close this has really been. A lot of rounds have come down to, 2v2s. I mean, that 1-1v1 between Henny and Yugi was probably the closest chance that Heroic had to win a round, as they have lost now 9 in a row, and now they're just trying to push down middle and try to just through brute force alone take a round before the half closes. But so far the response from Immortals is more than enough, as it's just Falda now getting pinched from T-stairs in the middle. He gets 1 kill, but he has no idea that he could just get backside. The smoke's down for cover for a moment that allows him to pick up an AK and kind of retreat back into middle, but only with the open arms of Lucas waiting for him. And so there it is, Immortals up 11-4.
Yeah, and credit to Immortals. It did start with a couple of 1v1s, but from there, they got more and more confident. They had some really good setups and rotations. They're able to neutralize Yugi, who was having trouble figuring out how to be impactful at A, and eventually were able to just walk into sites and get these double entries. Lucas went off, FNX went off, Henny was even getting op kills. This is a overall solid performance, and really made sure that Heroic couldn't stop or hemorrhage the bleeding, which maybe it deserved a pause at some point.
Yeah, you do have to kind of wonder. I mean, maybe it's one of those things where you feel like you were so close to winning these rounds that the timeout wasn't going to give you much value, because you figure, oh man, I just needed to get that kill and we win the round. Type of situation may be going on there in the minds of Snappy and whoever else might be considering to be the one to call the timeout for those guys, as they have to do a lot of work on their T side to get back into this map. I mean, they'd have to win 12 rounds on T side if they want to win this map. So that's a lot to ask for a team that isn't really very seasoned on this map in an offline setting. Yeah,
no, it definitely is. It definitely is. Could be a bit too late, though. The pistol could change that, and in my opinion, as we talked about, Immortals have some very exploitable weaknesses on CT side, so we'll find out if Heroic are able to take advantage of them, or if Immortals have built upon what they've created for setups that they've had in previous matches on this map.
Right, as we did see a little bit of a battle taking place over at middle, but both kind of just fall back with some small flesh wounds. But now, all of a sudden, the blood is really spilling at middle, as several members of Immortals chime in for that one. But look at Valda, there he is in the clutch, but Steel cutting them off now. Both CTs here in spawn. Yugi has to fight his way through it alone, and he does. And so that's step one on that long checklist that they have to pave their way through to get back into this game. Well done by Yugi and Valda in particular there. That's
certainly a big W. And we did see that Immortals were able to eco them on the second round of the first half of this game. So I would say that they're constantly in danger of that, even moving into the second half. But I'm sure they'll be as safe as possible. A couple of grenades, FNX and Bolt picking up a heat grenade for themselves. And now we're into round 17. It's really getting into the big moments of the match where Heroic have the opportunity with the second lifeline of the pistol round to come back into this game, make it competitive, show that they can exploit some of Immortals' issues in being too stacked on CT side, and see if they've really watched the game tape, and then further see if Immortals have for themselves developed as a team throughout the tournament, because they themselves could have watched their own games back and made some changes or adjustments, or added insight or given insight to their team.
And see what Immortals can do with these upgraded pistols now. We do see a lot of focus on just playing up front here towards the A site. Lucas really the main guy to hold B, and he's definitely going to be tested, it seems, as we do see that bomb gathered up there at the top. You do begin to see the remaining terrorists begin to shuffle their way through alt middle as well to get behind them. And so Lucas, he's been, you know, great for Immortals on this map, there's no doubt, but this would be just so much if he's able to hold off B just long enough with a deagle, as he definitely can hit some nice deagle shots. We'll see, he does some damage there to the first guy. That's going to be snappy, but he's not going to actually find the frag. He does have some port coming in now as well here, but they're just going to have to play behind this smoke, concede the plant, and just look to play for the retake. They don't have any kits or utilities, so it's all going to come down to shots, and even Henny doesn't have armor, so aim punch is going to be a factor that he has to deal with. Bolts, though, does collect an AK that's fallen, and Henny does put that deagle to use, but there's a TK that happens at some point. Didn't catch it, but that is going to limit the numbers now for Immortals trying to come in here. FNX still trying to make his way through, though, and it leaves Nico alone. Nice shot with the UMP from back. He's getting chased down. A knife even comes out, but he's staying alive. He's jiggling around. He's buying as much time as he possibly can. FNX, the clutch master, though, is who he's up against, and he's going to take it. He's going to have time to defuse, I'm pretty sure. And so we are going to see Immortals. You know, Heroic wins the pistol, yeah, sure, but you're not going to get the 3-0 start today.
Wow, and it's such a close one, but he does manage to win that. And I think Lucas one-deeged his teammate.
If you got to one-deeg somebody, I guess.
Oh my God, but I got to say, what was Monty doing? He was up top, and then he fell off into CT. He was like running away from a spot that he fully like put himself in. So I don't know. I thought that was a it was a nice shot at least, right? That's what it was.
Technical one-deeg.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Monty just puts himself up on top of the box and just like falls off into like peeking CT. It was just I don't know. You just don't be there if you didn't want to be there in the first place. Really bad move, but losing that first kill, not maintaining any control, Banana, like a choke point that they came from. So then having limited retake options, and Immortals all staying alive in that situation. Perfect storm.
Yeah, FNX comes through in the end. I mean, Nico was doing a pretty good job there, but just not quite enough. And so that means it's going to be even more of an uphill battle for Heroic. They'll force bind as much as they can. Monty taking a lot of damage on that before dropping back. So they're going to try to see if they can't push up. A nice pop flash, but Bolts is able to recover. And another team kill comes in 2 rounds in a row. They're playing this game on hard mode, but still finding victories through it all. And Nico again left alone, but again, it's going to be a victory for Immortals instead. And so despite the extra fragging coming in from Immortals, it's going to be still them way out in front.
That's really funny. And what a nice clip to just be topped off with this amazing grenade.
Got him, Call. That's so good. That just couldn't be
no faith that Bolts was.
He probably couldn't throw a more perfect nade against an opponent than that one. I mean, that was just right on the mark. As we have Heroic with basically a full save in hopes that they can win out from this point forward. That's basically what they're banking on now. And Henny and Lucas will be more than happy to let you know that, yes, Heroic will blend.
This really got ugly so fast. I mean, that second round loss, all of those 1v1s, all of the rounds that followed, and Immortals capitalizing, and just now putting Heroic in a 5-14 situation. They finally got a buy up, and we get to see, you know, a T round. There's no ops on the board, however. There's very low utility in general, and it might be the last chance that that Heroic even have to play the map.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically their last hope. I mean, granted, they had that safety net. They did win the first map, so they're not out of this tournament. As I wanted to see the third map anyway. I think Cobble's going to be a banger. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. These two teams definitely have a lot of comfort on that map. That's really common ground, as opposed to these first two maps that have been kind of sided towards who picked it. As Immortals here is the first to suffer a victim in this round, as we do see Lucas, one of the main factors for Immortals, is already off the board. And that's great for Heroic. That's definitely a key part of the equation of Immortals' success on this map. So it's nice to have him out early.
I'm not sure that they're actually going to clear this. Oh, it looks like they are getting the memo. Snappy walking right under the crosshair of Henny. So sometimes good to just crouch peek an angle like that you can't avoid. Taking a smoke to the head and leaving CT kind of wide open. Still unable to make the most of that exploit, however, and Snappy finally does take him down. Now it's FNX and Bolts, who actually have some money, just a little bit. They also, FNX has too valuable of a gun to leave behind. Bolts could maybe try to want to hold some exits, but with his low HP, he probably just wants to retreat to safety. Heroic will probably come find him.
And they have a lot to save. Kit, head armor, M4, and a UMP, all that is very useful. So definitely trying to see if they can't hold on to it. Heroic, I mean, definitely will chase a little bit here, but you got to wonder how many people do you want to throw at this, because their money's also quite low.
No, it's for sure. They really don't even want to go looking too hard and then end up dying. If they lost more than one player, I think it's best just to fall at that point. Bolts now just sitting in pit against the wall is fine, but holds the worst gun, so picked the wrong spot. FNX picked the wrong spot.
And Henny will have the AWP in his hand, so now we begin to have that dance at Banana. You know, I'm sure Heroic knows exactly what they're up against there, so how do they counter it? Again, Lucas is there too, the Wonder Twins of the Brazilian scene, play that site together. Actually feels like one of the few sites they play together. I mean, there's a lot of other sites that they don't, so it'll be fun to kind of see how this pans out.
No op in the hands of Yugi, which is not abnormal for a T side. Cool little spam there for the corner of the wall. Actually, that's where FNX plays quite often. And we see him up on the balcony. I'm not sure if he's going to be sitting in the corner or if he's going to be a little bit more mobile. It seems like he's jiggling around a little bit here. And certainly a group explode towards A is about to occur. Maybe a full smoke execute as they try to exploit this high-low setup that we see from Immortals, which is going to be very strong versus this execute. You got to fear for Heroic in this situation. I've moved back a little bit to watch flanks, but Valdez up here at mid.
Yeah, they have a lot of ground that they have to gain at this point. They're very far behind, so it's really critical that they make no more mistakes from this point forward. FNX is going to play that corner you were talking about. He's going to deliver on it. Madi goes down.
Oh, man.
And now the push comes up middle as well. The high-low stack over at Porch is going to be successful for Immortals as they're edging ever closer towards that map point and forcing the hand of that third on Cobblestone. As Heroic now in the last 25 seconds will begin to push with the remaining players into B. Lucas, though, will be here right in the smoke at CT, and Henny still got that op in the back of the site. They will combine for the kills needed to put Immortals right there next to the finish line. Then they just need to cross it to get this one into a third map decider.
Man, Heroic looking discombobulated, unconfident, unwilling to go and just hit the site together. They could have had the full execute. I don't know how everybody isn't aware that FNX just sits in that corner almost every single round. It seems to be a really safe bet for him for some reason. Maybe the angle is deeper than, I don't know, when people are clearing it, they're just not aware of that. But If you crouch right under his crosshair, they should be getting that kill every time, I feel like. And the high-low setup as well was good to fend off against Heroic, but I think Heroic didn't do a good job of baiting out utility, which it seemed like that's one of the good reasons they might have been wanting to delay all that time for.
Yeah, Valda, though, looking to try to see if he can't be the playmaker. He needs to be at middle. He does find one, but Steel is very quick to not allow that any further, and so they will retain the man advantage. And Madi is bleeding out right now. It wouldn't take much to put him in the dirt at this point, as we still have a lot of time for Heroic to play with, but they're already fairly committed up lane right now. And they're looking to get into the site. They still have to battle FNX inside the pit. There's also Steel inside the site with the crossfire, and so that's going to be a little bit difficult to break through. They also have a player inside balcony, though, so this actually might be a tough nut to crack if you're Heroic. And there it is. It's done deal. It's crazy to think that Heroic only won 2 more rounds after that 5th round in the first half.
Yeah.
Like, they got absolutely blasted all across the map. I think, what was it? In the first, I think they won 10 rounds in a row or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. Pretty dominant stuff there from Immortals. Like we said, really kind of proving that Inferno has become a home map for them in their map pool as far as what they can bring to the table in an offline setting when you're doing pick ban and things like that. They're one of kind of the teams from the Americas region that really embraced that map early on when FNX came on board and really put a lot of work into it. And, you know, obviously they're reaping the benefits of that against, like we said, a team that isn't as seasoned on the map despite their confidence perhaps in practice. But now we get to see a great third map, you know, really comfortable for both teams. This should be where it's an absolute slugfest.
Yeah, yeah. This one, I think, I actually favor Immortals on a little bit, but absolutely think that Heroic will do just fine on it. Have always been quite good. It's just kind of like depends on how comfortable Yugi is on this map, because we just saw him play a very timid map on Inferno, which I wasn't expecting at all. You know, just him not being able to find impact. So maybe he's a little bit more comfortable on Cobble, hopefully, as this is a map that Heroic definitely like to play. And
absolutely. I mean, again, this is kind of the map that they started building their legacy on when they were starting to get their first upset wins, you know, early in the Danish scene, like back last year. So, and then obviously Immortals, that has also been their trademark going back to Tempo Storm when they were beating, you know, getting close games against Na'Vi and stuff at Katowice last year. So again, it's going to be cool to kind of see those storylines intertwine, but we'll have to wait just a little bit before we can do that. So we'll take a short break, but when we come back, we'll be the third map of this first semifinals match, so don't go anywhere.